Due to knockouts, the boxing world has forever been a force of entertainment. Compared to winning by decision, a knockout is decisive and completely eliminates the need for the judges to intervene. Since the days of Mike Tyson, fans have always loved a great knockout. But occasionally, these knockouts can completely ruin a person, often even sending opponents to the ER. This is the case for many women who also enter the world of boxing. And today, we look at 10 of the scariest knockouts ever in women's boxing. In a match billed to be highly anticipated, Sandy Ryan and Alexander Vuyovich found themselves in a gruesome battle in October 2020. Ryan secured victory with a fourth-round knockout and demonstrated exceptional skills during the bout. Her power was unmatched, and she dropped her opponent with a brutal body shot in the fourth round. Once she fell to the ground, Alexander did manage to beat the count, but only a few seconds later, she would once again be sent to the ground with a left hand to the liver. This would go down as one of the best fights of Sandy Ryan's career. In a bout featuring the unbeaten Maria Santiso, many thought of the bout being one-sided. However, the WBA champion Estrada had a few different ideas and came out guns blazing. At no point during the fight did she look in any real discomfort, and she scored 2 knockdowns in the fight. These 2 knockdowns were rather brutal, with Santiso managing to beat the count the first time around. However, the second one would send her reeling, allowing Estrada to retain her title and add the first blemish to the record of her opponent. The Femke Hermans and Savannah Marshall bout would once again pit 2 of the top middleweight women against each other. In a fight that took place in April of 2022, Marshall would display a highly impressive style of boxing. She used the first 2 rounds to study her opponent, before going on to the attack in the third. A powerful left hook grazed Hermans, and this sent her to the ground, eventually rendering her unable to continue the bout. Marshall would walk away as the victor and retain the coveted WBO middleweight title. Estrada makes a second entry to this list with her incredible history and skill. It does make a lot of sense. During the bout, Estrada would break another record by pulverizing her opponent in just 7 seconds. Estrada, who started the bout full of energy, directly approached her opponent, and by the first shot, she was already rattled. Another quick 5-punch combination sent Adkins down to the floor, and she would eventually be unable to stand up and return to the fight. This would also end the great run of form Miranda had been displaying during the bout. Another extremely quick fight took place when Adams and Frias finally met each other. During the fight, Adams was extremely quickly out of the blocks, but Frias has always been notorious for her durability and exceptional punches on the counterattack. The incredible footwork of Adams got the fight off to an incredible fight, and she would use her talent to knock down her opponent just moments before the bell. After backing her into a corner, Frias had absolutely no answer, and aside from the body shots, she simply became stagnant, allowing Adams to land that fatal blow. Clarissa Shields already comes with a heck of a reputation. Her 2 times atop the podium at the Olympics have earned the gold medal winner quite a lot of respect in the boxing world. With the fight going all the way to the 7th round, fatigue started to show on both competitors. As Habazin had the edge, she was slowly backing her opponent into a corner before Shields proved exactly why she's one of the most dominant figures in the world of boxing. A crisp right hand caught her opponent on the side of the head, and Habazin simply faded as she was officially knocked out. The moment is surely something mentioned and all but solidified Shields' record as one of the most dominant fighters in the female division. When fights go 8 rounds, it tends to take a lot out of both competitors. In fact, this bout, which lasted 8 rounds, would test the power and endurance of both fighters. The fight itself was one of the good fights to watch, with momentum shifting quite frequently. However, both fighters had a defensive mentality and did try to seek a weakness in the other. Once the 8th round came along, it was all about endurance, and this was where Preszac shined. She connected her opponent with a vicious right hook that sent her reeling to the floor. Even being the one the crowd didn't support, the utter silence will tell you just how impressive this fight was. The fight got off to a rapid start, with Lonardu showing her explosive speed and endurance. She would land the occasional shot before retreating into a defensive position before she would relaunch. The visible frustration on the face of Hobbes would be clear as the 2 exchanged punches. Hobbes, who became rather frustrated, would eventually drop her guard in the 4th round, and she would pay the price. Lonardu landed a sharp left hook, catching Hobbes unawares and sending her directly to the ground. The move would once again stun the crowd and bring the fight to an immediate end. Once again, Savannah Marshall makes another appearance on this list, and this is once again due to a flawless performance. Hannah Rankin, who had built a reputation for being tenacious and quite powerful with her punches, did prove to be a somewhat tough opponent, and this caused a lot of frustration for Marshall. However, all this would change in the 7th round when Marshall made contact with a perfectly timed uppercut. In fact, this can be argued to be a textbook uppercut that sent Rankin down for the count. The win not only ensured her reputation, but also made her seem like one of the most dangerous fighters to ever step into a boxing ring. In another fight that started off with a blistering pace, both Julio and Mousinho found themselves in a few precarious situations. At such pace, both fighters had no intentions of feeling each other out, and pure frustration can easily be seen on the faces of both competitors during the bout. However, the power of Mousinho did eventually shine through, and once she was in control of the fight, it was almost certain who would be the winner. With her precision, punches, and speed, she completely overwhelmed Julio, sending her down to the canvas with a combination of strategic attacks, all backed up by precision. This was an incredible knockout to witness. The boxing world has played host to a wide array of incredible fights, and these knockouts are certainly some of the greatest the world has ever seen. With men's boxing dominating headlines, it does now seem like women's boxing is slowly getting much deserved attention. But what do you think of these knockouts, and have we missed any of your favorites?